What's up, baby boys, baby girls, and babies in between? It's your boy Daddy Whetti here, coming at you live with another deck tech video. And today we're going to be talking about the red button. The one you should never press. The one you should always keep in your back pocket, just in case your opponents like to play that janky stuff like Narset, Parter of Veils, and Windfall. Or maybe your opponents are just being a little too pushy with their big, strong decks and they're making you feel bad. That's when you pull this one out. Now this deck right here, no, it is not for the faint of heart. This deck is for when you need to feel like a king and you need to make your opponents bend the knee to your will. See, this deck is spicy in all the wrong ways, because this deck is Child of Alara, God Tribal, Destruction Tribal. Child of Alara is WUBRG with when Child of Alara dies, destroy all non-land permanents. They can't be regenerated. So of course we're going to be filling our deck with indestructible gods and permanents that will stick around after Child of Alara bites the dust. So without any further ado, we're going to get into this deck tech. Of course, we're going to be running the gods, the enchantment gods mostly, but the ones that are indestructible, like Athreos, God of Passage, Athreos, Shroud Veiled, Ifara, God of the Polis, Erebos, Bleak-Hearted, Erebos, God of the Dead, Heliod, God of the Sun, Heliod, Sun-Crowned, Iroas, God of Victory, Karametra, God of Harvest, which is also going to help us ramp by putting out forests and plains every time we cast a creature spell. And remember, kids, your gods may enter the battlefield as enchantments, but they are casted as creature enchantments. Kuranos, God of Storms, Clothis, God of Destiny, Krufix, God of Horizons, Mogus, God of Slaughter, Nilaeakinite, Pharika, God of Affliction, Phenax, God of Deception, Perforos, Bronze Bloated. Did I say bloated? He is pretty bloated, huh? No, it's Perforos, Bronze Blooded, and Perforos, God of the Forge. Remember these two because we're going to be talking about them a little later. Thassa, Deep Dwelling, Thassa, God of the Sea, and last but not least, Xenagos, God of Revels. And then going back to our non-traditional gods, we have Oketra the True, which has Double Strike Indestructible. Can't attack or block unless you control 3 other creatures, and she can make those creatures with 3 and a white, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with Vigilance. And Rhonas the Indomitable. Rhonas the Indomitable can't attack or block unless you control another creature with power 4 or greater, which once you turn those gods on, he gets turned on too. No pun intended. 2 and a green, another target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. And then the only 2 other creatures in our decks that aren't gods is Azusa, Lost but Seeking. You can play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. And because we don't have that traditional artifact package, we're going to be relying on our lands here because artifacts are meant to die. Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, which he's going to die every. But when he enters the battlefield or attacks, you gain 3 life, draw a card. You can put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. It's pretty good. We'll move in to our destruction spells. We have Blasphemous Act. For 1 red mana, you're going to deal 13 damage to each creature as long as there are at least 8 creatures on the battlefield. Just like it, we have Vanquish the Horde. It's only going to cost 2 white mana to destroy all creatures as long as there's 6 or more creatures on the battlefield. Then we have traditionals like Wrath of God and Damnation. We also have Supreme Verdict, which is the same thing but can't be countered. Other than that, we have Exterminatus, 5 white black. Destroy all non-land permanents, and your opponent's non-land permanents lose indestructible. Beautiful. Love to see it. Then we have my favorite destroy spell, and that is Farewell, because it doesn't destroy. No, sorry, Bob. 4 in white, white. You get to choose one or more. Exile all artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or graveyards. And you know for a fact, as long as our gods aren't turned on, we're choosing artifacts, creatures, and graveyards. Just completely annihilating our opponent's plan. And then sticking in the sorceries, we have tutors like Demonic Tutor, which is going to search our library for any card we need, and we're going to get it into our hand. And we have land tutors like Sylvan Scrying, which is going to find our world tree. Farseek, which is going to find anything but a forest. Nature's Lore, which will find us a forest. 3 Visits, which will find us a forest. Skyshroud Claim, which will find not 1 but 2 forests. Then we have Hour of Promise, which is going to search for 2 land cards, which is going to be the World Tree and most likely Field of the Dead. We have Expand the Sphere, which will look at the top 6 cards of our library, put up to 2 land cards from among them on the battlefield tapped, and the rest of them bottom of your library in a random order. Then we have Splendid Reclamation, which is going to return all of our lands that are in our graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Beautiful money. Oh, looks like we forgot arguably the best creature destruction spell in the game, Toxic Deluge, which you're going to pay as much life as the biggest creature on the battlefield is, and you're going to pay attention to make sure they can't pump that creature, and you're going to kill everything. Doesn't matter if it has indestructible or not, it's dead. And we have, going back in a crazy order, Tempt with Discovery, 3 and a green. It's a tempting offer. You're going to search your library for a land, put it on the battlefield. Then each opponent may do the same. If they do, for each one that does, you get another land. Potentially 4 lands for 4. Can't beat those odds. It's pretty good. Then we have cards like Explore, which will let us play an additional land this turn and draw a card. Love to see it. Life from the Loam, which is going to return up to 3 lands from our graveyard to our hand. And then when you go to draw, you can choose to dredge 3, which put the top 3 cards of your library to your graveyard and put it back to your hand. You're always going to want to put as many lands as you can onto the battlefield, because this deck hurts for lands. That's the only way to save it. We'll move on to these instants we have. We have targeted removal and Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares. We're going to exile a creature. Something else dumb happens afterwards, doesn't matter, because they lose their best creature. These are for those pesky creatures that don't get destroyed by our child of Alara crying her ass off. Then we have Anguished Unmaking. Exile target non-land permanent, you lose 3 life. Who cares? Life's a resource, baby. We have Crop Rotation. We're going to sacrifice one of our dumb lands to go get Field of the Dead, or the best land in the deck, the World Tree. Cyclonic Rift. Everyone knows it. Everyone hates to see it. 6 in a blue. Return all non-land permanents your opponents control to their hand. Do it at the end step right before your turn. You're looking golden. Enlightened Tutor. Basically Demonic Tutor in this deck, because the thing you're going to Demonic Tutor is most likely a god. Enlightened Tutor can get it for you. Oh, do you got some non-indestructible creatures that you want to stick around? Heroic Intervention. Once the child dies, play that. They're still here, boys. Moving on to our artifacts, which we only have 4 in this deck. We have Expedition Map. 1 to play it. 2 and tap to sack it to search your library for the World Tree. Darksteel Ingot for 3. It's an indestructible mana rock. Who cares? Skyclave Relic. The better looking Darksteel Ingot. Same cost, but you can pay kicker 3, and if you do, you make 2 tokens of it. Love to see it. And Sensei's Divining Top. Pseudo indestructible because you can tap it to draw a card, put it back on the top of your library. It also has an activation of 1. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order. You're going to be drawing your best out of your top 3 every time. And in our enchantments, we have Burgeoning. When an opponent plays a land, you may put a land from your hand on the battlefield. Mystic Remora, which only costs a blue, has a cumulative upkeep of 1. It's not meant for this world for long, but it's going to draw you cards whenever your opponents play non-land. What am I saying? What am I on? Non-creature spells. And they're not going to pay the 4. No one ever does. And then our last enchantment, which is our best enchantment, is Journey to Eternity. 1 black-green. This card says enchant creature you control, most likely your Child of Alara. When the enchant creature dies, you're going to return it to the battlefield under your control, then return Journey to Eternity to the battlefield transformed under your control. It becomes a land that taps for anything, and it also has 3 black-green, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If your opponents start getting rid of your gods somehow, maybe they have their own Toxic Deluge, maybe you had to hit the button when you had some gods out and it feels bad, you're bringing them back. Love to see it. The land package, it's pretty tight. I'm sorry. Like I said, if you're playing this deck, you're going to be sinking some money into this. It's just what you got to do. Think of it as devotion. Hurt you that bad, make you play original duels. Jeez. We have all the triomes, all the pseudo triomes in that dumb new Capenna set. High market to sacrifice our Child of Alara to destroy everything at instant speed. Phyrexian Tower, same thing. We have Strip Mine to get rid of troublesome lands that your opponents might have. That, what if they're doing the mirror match and they want the World Tree? Goodbye, World Tree. Get it back with your life from the Loam. Just do it again if they do it. You know, this deck is meant to hate on everything, including itself. We have Urza's Saga, which is basically in here for the Expedition map where Sensei is divoting top, and also to make you a blocker in the early game when you don't have much mana to spend anything on. You gotta stay alive if you want to see your gods do their thing. We have All Lands Are Swamps in Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. All Lands Are Forests in Yavimaya Cradle of Growth. Wasteland to do exactly what Strip Mine's doing. And then, of course, our land that's going to win us the game, the World Tree. Now, the way this works is once you have 10 mana, Wooburg twice, you can use that, then tap this, sacrifice it, and search your library for any number of god cards, put them on the battlefield, and shuffle your library. Well, as you can see, we have 24 gods in the deck. Which sees 24 creatures entering the battlefield. Well, 23 doesn't count himself. You're going to deal 46 damage to the table. And if there is still somehow some stragglers around, Perforos Bronze Blooded gives them all haste. Swing out and kill the stragglers. Beautiful deck. Real fun to pilot. Real mean to pilot. But you know what? Daddy wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you for watching the video. Have a great day.